delighted you joining us for A Measure of Marketing, episode 17, all about your target audience.
An important topic.
It's the one I always like to start with clients, of understanding who their market is and who their target audience is, because they don't always know.
They don't. Why do they not always know?
I think, well, usually, and this is my target audience, that there are small business owners who go out there, put themselves out there, start marketing and think they know who they're talking to. And then after a little while, once the flurries kind of die down, they realise that actually they don't know who they're talking to, who their target audience is, who it is that they need to influence, who's got the purse strings. And that's when the leads dry up. So I think it's a real valuable exercise to be able to know who you're talking to, why you're talking to them, where they are.
Yeah, I think there's 2 points there. It's around, the decision maker, particularly if you're working with businesses as well. And also like how niche that you get as well with your audience. I'm not very niche as a business owner, but I have a understanding of my audience and their problems and like the things that I can help them to solve.
I suppose niche is a great word. I knew who my primary market was from the off, and I kind of got a good understanding of my target audience, that they're small business owners who've been going for like 2-3 years, that have now got stuck. I've even got age groups. I've even got kind of, the type of person that they are. But actually, I've niched it to an audience who sit across learning and development, training providers, training consultants, learning consultants, and that's more my kind of primary market. But the target audience, I know exactly who it is with that niche. But that niche has only come in the last probably few years. So I've accepted it as being my niche. I didn't think it was. So
and that's another thing, isn't it? Is I mean, we can go into this in so much detail, which we won't do today, but almost like your branding and your personal brand as well can attract people in, and you don't almost realize. I think that's what happened to me. Way more females than what I ever expected, and less males. Who knows if that's the way that I talk or my colorway, who knows, or if I do need to be a bit more targeted in the way that I approach things. So I appreciate that it's a difficult one to hone down, particularly if you're new as well in business. I think there's almost an element of allowing things to take place, doing a bit of the research, and giving yourself a bit of a grace period to work it out. I was literally just talking to a small business owner and saying the same to her. She was a business coach, and she's not quite sure yet where it's going, because it's quite a broad topic. So she hasn't quite chosen yet who she wants to work with. But she also doesn't know where her service will fit, who it will fit with yet. So you can kind of reverse engineer it a little bit, I think.
And I think that's all right. I think when people start a business or they go freelance or self-employed, they feel that they have to have everything right first time. And it doesn't always work like that. I think it's we've spoken it as a journey, a self-employment journey, but I think it evolves, and that's okay, because mine's evolved, as has yours. And I think doing this work from the off is a really good thing, the whole strategy thing that we bang on about. But actually that can change after a year, 18 months, maybe 2 years. And I suppose to accept that that's okay, and that could happen or might happen. And it also, you've got other factors like society, the economy, everything that's going on around us. People pivoted with the pandemic and all that. There are reasons why you may have to change up who you're talking to and who your target audience is.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so the lady that I was just talking to, she had a methodology of working, and she used the term holistic in it. And I was like, that's great. Like, if that's how you want to work, and that's the way that you prefer to work, that's what your belief is, that's your service. that will attract a certain person in. You want other people that think holistically, but what does that type of person look like? And that's where customer personas can come in quite handy. You can kind of like shape them, can't you?
I think if you've got the time and energy after you've kind of strategized and done all of that to focus on your personas, can really give you that complete vision as to who you're talking to and why, you know, that creative side of building a persona.
Yeah, definitely. And I think once you've got that vision, we talk a lot about content marketing, don't we? I think it then makes that easier as well. So you are creating content for this very specific person that you've got written down and you've got the details for. So it's like you're talking to Karen.
Yeah. And Karen may not be the person that's going to use your service or use your product if you're working in business, but Karen's the one with the purse strings and the sign off, or the person that's looking for what you offer to help solve her problem. And that's the target audience that I think people confuse, and they then start talking to the person that's going to buy what they do, what they offer.
Yeah.
But you're not talking to them, you're talking to Karen, who has this team that needs help, or Karen that
Yeah.
wants to buy this skincare range
Yeah.
for her children, or I don't know, adolescents or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. A good example of that is, like you say, is the child versus, well, even like teenager versus parent. There's teenagers on social media, but it's actually the parent that will buy the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And I also see it as well in certain industries. I've worked with an interior designer. The man would always be the person, more often than not, be the person who made the contact and did the conversation around what the room would look like, but it was the woman that just said yes or no. So it was like, how do you do your content marketing for that?
Yeah.
But yeah, honing down and knowing that is really important as well.
Yeah. And personas do help you do that. It's a very clever way. And we've chatted before in your role at Boots. You had, that was a big part of what you did, wasn't it?
Yeah, we my very first role was in loyalty marketing, so it was around the Advantage card, and they always used to think that they were quite behind the times, but actually now I realize that they weren't, like so advanced really. We worked solely on these different types of people that shopped in Boots. There was a younger, like teenager. We literally had cardboard cutouts in the office, in that open plan office, of these people, and we talked about them as if they were a person. That's how much detail we went into. And they obviously had a ton of budget to do customer insight on. But yeah, we had a young teenager, then we had a mum with little kids, so doing the baby shopping. That we had an older lady with more like grey hair who was doing the like health products. Yeah, so we'd really like literally created these people, and it helped us in our team to just be really specific in our email marketing when social media was coming out. That's how long ago it was.
I feel well old, gone.
And when we was writing reports, when we worked with agencies and all of that, so I've always kind of kept that in mind. And I find that when you talk to people about that, it helps them, other business owners, it helps them to be like, oh yes, when I create content now, I'm just talking to this one person.
Yeah.
And it makes them more tunnel vision on it instead.
Yeah. It's often a process that I go through with clients. I would say I work with clients kind of like at least 18 months, 2 years, this kind of like partnership, but towards the end of it. So we do that target audience work first, but often then they want to get going. So actually, I think it's an exercise. If you're a really big entity, it's something that you make time for, you have budget for. I don't always think as a small business owner, you have that time or that money to be able to throw at that level of detail.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's super useful if you can even give it some thought just to get in your head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
yeah.
the lady that I was just talking to actually, and I approached mine in this way, where I talked about that grace period, was you know what your service is, and if you're a solo entrepreneur, you know what your service is, and you know where you can add value, you know what your experience is, and there's a point where I guess you touch base with yourself, like the methodology of how you want to work. So I work more strategically. Other marketers will work in different ways. But I allowed that time to go out network, to do networking, to share tips and things like that on social media, create different types of content, and just see then what happened with the analytics.
Mhm.
When I went out networking, I was asking business owners how they found marketing, or I just listened to what their questions were. And that's your research phase if you haven't got budget to do like some big customer surveys and customer insights and interviews and things like that. It is you kind of testing the waters, giving yourself a period of time, and then going back and looking over the analytics, seeing what questions are asked. And also seeing if your messaging that you've got in place so far makes sense when you are in front of people, or if they're saying, oh, I don't know, don't really understand what you do still. You can create your own research phase, I think.
Yeah. And I think that's so important, because when you're creating content as a strategy to talk to these people, be it through social media posts, through videos, through a podcast or blog posts, whatever content you choose to create, you need to make sure that messaging resonates with that person reading it and talks to them directly. And unless you've done that research and you've understood, we always say it, the pain points and the problems and the challenges, unless you truly understand what they are, and then you know who you're talking to, that content isn't going to hit with them. It's not going to sit. It's not going to connect you to them and pull them in. This pull marketing strategy that we use very effectively at all. It'd be such a bad use of time and energy creating content when you don't know why you're creating it, who you're talking to, and what your messaging is. So
100%. The messaging is the most important thing, I would say, out of building your customer personas. Like you can create a white asset with some black text on to post across social media. You don't need to have any particular brand, and it can be bare, but if that message works, it's either going to work or it's not.
yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it's pink, white, lilac, or bright colors, dark colors. It's about the words, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's that conversation that you're generating with someone so that they can see you can help them, you have a product to sell them or a service to offer, and that you can help them overcome the challenge or the pain point. They may not actually know what that pain point is, but you're talking their language, you're talking what surrounds them, and it's not the end user, it's not the person that could be using the product or the service, it's the person that needs it to make their life easier as well as that end person. And
yeah.
it just needs a bit of time, I think, to get your head round in terms of, okay,
Yeah.
well, who may be buying my product isn't the person that I need to sell to.
Yeah.
I need to market it to attract them.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah. So that research phase as well, asking them open questions, just like a big organization would if they was to carry out some market research and put a lot of budget behind it. If you're at networking, listen to the problems that people share problems. So listen to that and then ask them open questions. So people often talk to me about social media. Instantly we'll talk about social media and how they hate it and they don't want to do it, or they don't know how to do it. So you ask, so what would you like it to feel like? Like, how would you like to approach social media? So you've then got the problem instantly and the solution. So you're building up the type of person for your target audience and your messaging at the same time here. I'm just running down a little list of things to go that we would normally build customer personas around. But yeah, the first one is research, that research stage, and looking through analytics and things like that on your website, social media, and also just market research as well. If you're, I guess, you're an expert in your industry, you will know through like industry trends, competitor analysis, identifying those customer those common traits as well. Having a little delve into that relating to your niche. And then from there you can start to like pinpoint some of the key demographics and characteristics of the people that you want to talk to. So you might have an age, you might have a location, an income level. It can be very dependent on how you price, or if people can afford your prices as well, even education level, or like yourself, different industries that you're going to target. Yeah,
and then quite fun. Sorry, go on, I interrupted.
Yeah, no, it can be quite fun. Yeah, it can be quite fun to delve into it and start to create something out of it. I think it's quite refreshing as well once you've locked this down. It makes everything easier.
I think it gives you that clarity as well behind who you're talking to, and that confidence that when you do end up talking to a potential client, especially if you've just started out, it kind of gives you more self-assurance that you know their world and that you know what their problems are and how to talk to them. And like you say, with even thinking about characteristics, so that, you know, when someone does approach you, you know exactly whether or not that is who is a perfect client or not. And I think then everything just sort of slots in and yeah, runs. But it can just take a bit of time. I think to especially when you're looking at characteristics, if you even wanted to think about, well, where do they live, and what's their lifestyle, and you know, all that kind of thing. And
that's important. So it depends what type of business you are. So you might be running an event at a specific location, and so you're going to have a location and a radius around that event, aren't you? You're a digital business like you and I are. We can work with anybody across the country. But yeah, going back to like the psychographics, that word looks complicated when it's written down in front of me. But that is around your customer attitudes, values, interests, behaviors. And this lady I was talking to earlier, we were saying, well, if you use the term holistic, you're going to attract a type of person to work with. And if they're not that type of person, that's fine. You might find that you vibe with them and you get on and you can work with them and they're open to working in a different way. But if they're not open to working in your way, that's okay. Like, you won't work with them. I like to work with people that are literally ready to take action, and they are open to learning and developing and actually put steps in place. That's my preferred person to work with, because we both get value out of that. So that's also important, like people's behaviors, their values, their beliefs, their lifestyle, personality as well.
Yeah,
huge.
It's funny because the clients that come to me who have been running their own business for a few years tend to be quite, I would categorize them as red and blue, kind of hot-headed, decision making, boom boom boom, this is what I want to do, but quite not flighty, but quite fiery and quite quick, and know what they want and want to get there now, and let's do this, let's and actually how we work together so well is that I'm very yellow and green and very structured and very calm and very methodical, and that's where they need that structure with their marketing. So the two kind of really balance well. And it's taken me a little while, and this is the thing, you never know from the off that you've got it. You never know your target audience until you start to whittle it down and find it. But yeah, that's one characteristic for me that I know straight away when I start talking to someone. It's like, yeah, okay, this is going to work because you have this type of characteristic or behavioral trait, and I can synchronize with that. I can,
Have you done insight discovery?
Insight discovery.
That's the yellow.
Yeah, I did it with a friend of mine who is an HR kind of director consultant, and we went through the process just of an afternoon. And I've got books and everything else that I've read, and it is really insightful, and it makes you. It's the whole kind of how you might communicate with them and adapt your communication style to get the most out of them, or vice versa.
I definitely recommend doing something like that if you have the time. One of my clients delivers it, and has ran it for me, and it makes I used to do it in my HR days as well, but yeah, it is just a good framework to, particularly when you're talking to people as well, you listen in a different way once you've got your personal profile in place as well.
Yeah.
And it does actually really help with this as well. So the next part that I've got in front of me is around mapping out the customer journey. So if you have different characteristics, you're going to purchase in different ways. So like yourself, if you're working with someone who is an action taker, very driven, very fast in their movements, they will purchase way quicker than someone who's probably blue and more analytical and needs more time to consider certain things. So going back to them characteristics and behaviors, that's important to know what type of person you want to work with, because you know how much content you need to share in the top of the funnel where you're
in the journey.
People. You don't need to be sharing more promotional sales content, because you actually want to work with people who are more analytical and they're going to need more time. So it all kind of comes together then when you're thinking of it in that way.
Yeah, and I think that's where it's fun, but can also become quite a beast to kind of tame. You can kind of get lost in it, but it depends. And I think it depends on what you offer and how deep you want to go with it. But
100%, yeah,
lots of avenues, definitely.
Yeah. But I think if you was to start anywhere, I would definitely consider the type of business that you are, things around like location wise, if you want to work with people in a certain radius, who the decision maker is versus who the person is that you're working with, your values and the type of person that you want to work with in terms of like beliefs, values, ways of working, and then what their problems are and what solutions that they're looking for, and make offer that. If you keep it as simple as that, I think you're in a good place to really start to hone down on your messaging there and your content.
It's definitely a process I work through with clients and sometimes it's me telling them because they don't necessarily know. But if they can, particularly if they're starting up as a consultant or as a freelancer, to be able to do that research piece that you spoke about actually can be such a boost to you when you first go self-employed as well, to get yourself out there, to do that genuine, even holistic research of just talking to people and having conversations, to bring that to a marketing consultant or bring that to ChatGPT and throw in the questions and adopt this role play of, can you help me find my target audience? This is what I know. There's so many ways of doing it, but it doesn't have to be as complicated as the persona work or anything else, and it will change. I think that's the thing as well, for people to don't feel worried that it may change. You'll get it right straight off.
Definitely. I think that's a lot of detail there, but also a way to simplify it is definitely there as well.
And any questions, people can put them in the comments and we can come back to them, or we can follow up, but gives people a starting point, doesn't it?
I've got a PDF that I can share with people that I was just working down, that detailed version, if anyone wants it.
I've got a persona blog post as well, I think I've written, so we'll put the links in the bottom of the YouTube description. We'll do that.
I have a blog about it actually. I forgot about that. That was a good episode. Thanks.
Thank you.
And we will see everybody soon for episode 18. I'm not going to share what it is. That's
the reason. There's no tease here, people.
I have just when I get so engrossed in the conversation, then my memory goes.
Let's leave it there. Let's leave it on a high, shall we? Okay. Okay. Bye, Kelly.
Bye, Hayley.
Bye.
Bye.